Good morning and welcome back to Planner Craft. I'm Natalie and I'm going to be taking you through a different project today. So this one's going to be all about shaped boxes. So I'm going to wait a bit for everybody to join in. So this is going out live on YouTube and Facebook currently. So if you do chat, you'll notice that you come up with just Facebook user, but that's because we're live in the group. So don't forget to say who you are so that I know who I'm saying hi to. So at the moment I can't see Facebook comments, but I am looking at the restream chat, so you'll come up the same way as what you were doing on the video. And my phone still doesn't know how to do not disturb. Okay. So the idea behind today's concept is that you are going to start with a shaped base and then we're going to build up the sides using a strip. Hello! We've got an interloper.
He's popping in for a moment to say hello and he'll disappear again.
So just in case you missed it, because we're going to the group, it's not coming up your username, so I am having to guess at who's saying hi. So I will say hi to whoever is watching. Okay, so I'm also working on one camera today, so there's going to be times when you can't see what we're doing. Unless you fancy being cameraman for a minute, Ian. Do you fancy being cameraman?
What do you need done?
Just point the camera over at the scan and cut for a bit.
Does it move it?
Yeah, as you're here. There we go. Hi Deb!
There you go.
I could have left Facebook open, you could have made comments for me.
Shaking me, I'm on the phone. Do you want a cup of tea or some cold drink?
Cold drink, please.
Cold drink, okay. You
Yeah.
having a warm one in here, eh?
Oh yes, if I thought I could get it whatever cornetto I would. Other ice creams do exist. Okay, so I have the blade out my machine and first of all I'm going to load my mat. Okay. I'm going to choose whichever pattern it is I want to create my box from. So if you're just starting out with this technique, then hi Carol, you want to go for something that is really simple without too many curves or in kind of interior shapes for you to work with. So something like an O wouldn't be too bad, but if you're starting to look at like that Eiffel Tower and go, that would be a really good idea, that is not a good place to start. Okay, so you want to go for something fairly simple. So I'm going to be dead boring and I'm going to go for an N. Okay, going to go OK, and I'm going to increase the size just a little bit. So I don't want it too big, but I want it big enough that I can kind of manoeuvre around it easily. We're going to set that onto our mat. Okay. Now in terms of positioning where you want it on the mat, for this instance, staying in that top left corner is absolutely fine because we're going to cut our other pieces using a trimmer. Now you want to be using some card that's fairly rigid. So you're looking at 300 GSM and above. Now because of how we build this box, I would also recommend just using some plain card and then covering it after you've put it together.
Where are you going live to the group?
Yes. Oh, don't knock the table. So I'm going to go OK. Please select and cut. I'm going to go for my standard blade because it's a basic shape and it's quite thick, so we can get away with it. Ah, thank you, Ian.
Where do you
So hi Joyce, hi Sally, hi Thea. There you go, I've pinched Ian's phone. Do you want to pop it over there for me and I'll drink it after?
Okay.
Just don't want accidents today.
Bring it back when you're finished.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, bye everybody.
Bye.
Have fun.
So I'm going to reduce my cut pressure down to -9 because I've put my standard blade in. And that's just so that it doesn't pull on the corners, particularly on the tips of our N, as we want to make sure that we get those nice and sharp. Okay. Cut speed of 1 because we want to go slow and steady. And we can go OK. So now we can just go start. Okay. So any questions from over the weekend while this is cutting? So if I angle this back, we can see there's our N. And we just want to carefully make sure that it's cut all the way through. So particularly when we're working on thicker card, we want to make sure, especially down this left-hand edge here, that that is cut cleanly. And then the rest should just slip away. Okay. So we're going to keep hold of that piece of card because we're going to use that for our sides. And we're going to carefully remove our N with our metal spatula. Okay. So by using a metal spatula, we make sure that we keep our corners nice and crisp, so that as we go around our edges to do our glue, we have a nice clear outline to go to. And good morning Max. And good morning Jill. So let's remove the mat, remove the blade. And for now, that's our scan and cut done. So if you sign up for the workshop, I'll be going into how we can then use print and cut with this technique too. So let's pop you back up here. There we go. There we go. Okay, so there's our N. And now we want to build up our sides. So first of all, you need to decide how tall you want your little tray to be. And you're going to add on 1 centimetre. Okay. We're going to bring in our card and a trimmer. And we're going to cut a strip to match the height that we want. So, for instance, I might decide that I am going to go with my strips to go just at the 2-inch mark. There's my first strip, and you're going to probably need 2 or 3 strips. Now you want to try and be as accurate as possible with your cutting, so if you're doing a lot of these, what I would suggest is putting a piece of masking tape onto the base of the trimmer that you can then align your card up to. Enough, but we'll see how we go. So next with our strips, we want to score our 1 centimetre line, and that's going to give us our glue tabs to adhere to our base. So start with just 1. Now bear in mind, because this card is thicker, it's going to be a little bit harder to score. So what I would say is try and use a metal embossing tool. rather than your bone folder for this one. Especially if you have a Teflon bone folder or a plastic bone folder. You want something you can put a bit of pressure behind. So I've done mine quite small, but that's just for time, so that you can see to the end of the process. Okay, why didn't I cut them on the scan and cut? Because I went edge to edge, the scan and cut can't do that. And I wanted to give my strips as much length as possible, in the hope that I don't have to use too many. And hi Mum! So you should have some strips that now look like this. Okay, your mounting, which is the raised bit of your score line, is going to go to the inside of your box. And apologise for the noise out there. It's been a noisy day today. So I'm going to lift up my first tab. I'm just going to run my bone folder down it gently. So we just want to make sure that that fold is nice and crisp. So that then when we attach it round, it's going to stay nice and upright when we're doing our sides. And good to see the subtitles are up to their usual tricks. Okay, so next you want to decide which way round you're going to go round your shape. Some shapes will be easier to go backwards and round that way, others will be easier to go that way. So the choice is yours. So from your strip you're going to just cut off this very first corner here. So just take your scissors and we're just going to go and snip that there. Okay. So then we can line that up on our base. We want to make sure that you get it right to the edge. Okay, and then I'm just going to gently bend that over, and you can mark it with a pencil or you can do it with a erasable pen if you prefer. So quite often I use an erasable pen, but on this occasion I'm going to use a pencil. So you just want a tiny little dot just there, and that's a reference point to where that next fold's going to go. So you want to cut it so that your V points towards that dot, like so. Now if you're going to go for a right angle, you're going to want that V to be a bit wider. If you're doing something like this point in here, it's not going to be as important. You could just do a straight snip. So it is going to vary, so I'm just going to go a little bit wider, just because it's a right angle. So you want to be heading sort of 45 degrees. Okay. I'm going to offer that back up and just check. Check and double check is a good way to go with this project. Okay. So then we can get our scoreboard back in. And we're just going to score our vertical line. So it's a case of pretty much pick any line. I'm going to go for the 10cm line. And I'm going to score that just like so. Okay. Then when we give it a fold, we're going to give it a pinch so that you get a nice crisp fold. Then you can see inside if your glue tab needs to get any bigger. So, putting it back on our base. Now my advice would be, if you are doing a number of these for bulk crafting, then of course you would either do this on computer and do it as a cut file, or don't stick it when we get to the sticking bit and use this as a template to scan back into your machine. So I want to go a little bit bigger with my notches, so I'm just going to do a little pencil notch there so that I can see how wide I'm going, and you want to match this on the opposite side. So it's much more like that. And it's going to be little alterations that you make like that that's going to make your box sit straighter, because ideally you want your join to meet perfectly smack on. Okay, so I'm happy with that one. I'm going to go round to the next corner so we can line up again, and I'm going to do the same thing. So again, make a little pencil notch. I'm doing this right on the very bottom because remember I said that you're going to want to cover it after. And this one isn't going to have such a big gap as this one because we've got a more obtuse angle. There you go. I don't even do your maths lessons at the same time. So, maybe a little bit more than that. Okay. So obviously if you're doing a curve, you'd be putting these little nicks a lot closer together. So again, I'm just going to check my positioning. So get that up to that top corner. Check that. Then we can score. And it's easier if you put your glue tab up to the top. So, we're at a good point for my next question. How much do you guys like watching me in real time? Or would you prefer it was more a case of, and here's one I made earlier. And we shorten the time that we spend on stream a little bit. Nearly. I've got one pencil that needs a new lid. So I keep going to pick up the wrong one. Never a good thing. There we go. Okay. So who likes creating along with me and actually having to go with the projects? So for this one, because it's going to go back on itself, you can just do a straight cut. Real time for the banter. Yeah, we can chat more if we do real time. I'm just aware that I can probably waffle on for a bit too long sometimes. So this time it's going to go back on itself because we're doing that in there. Okay. So remember, when we get to this end, we're going to have to do an overlap. So try and set it so that you have a glue tab in an appropriate place. So if I show you what I mean, now we've got this far, we've got this bit here to do, and then we're going to come round this side, and it might be that we don't have enough to finish off this corner neatly here, but we'll see how we go. So this time, make life a bit easier, because that corner, we're going to line up our dot, and then mark the corner of that end. So again, this is going to be a 45 degree, so if we look at that one there, you can see that we've got to be much wider than I did last time. Okay, check it again. Yep, I'm happy with that. So now we can do our score. So we have some exciting things coming up. So at the weekend I put up the virtual crafting weekend, which we're going to do at the end of May. So if you want to sign up for that one's going to be really fun and different. Okay, so I'm just going to create my end so I can go, right, okay, that needs to bend round that way. Yeah, the subtitles aren't the best, I have to say. One of the ways that we thought of getting around that was to have the face camera, but with Ian not always being around for streaming, it's a bit difficult to try and do. Well, I struggle with with 2 cameras, let alone 3. Okay, so I'm going to line that up. Now, if I mark this on here so you can see it a bit better. So, the camera's gone off a bit. Skew with. Let's get that back there. There we go. So if I bring this up, you can see that tip of that end comes just there, which doesn't quite give you enough to do a glue tab on this end. So what we'll do instead is we'll cut up to that point, and then we're going to cut this way across, and we'll make the glue tab on our next strip. But yes, the 3 camera is the one that we'll be going for the virtual weekend, so that you can read a bit easier. Okay, and then we're going to trim this end like so. Let's take that back a little bit further actually. There we go. So we have our top of our end. So on to our next piece. So remember, mounting in, so we're going to fold it this way. Now that mounting in is more important on dark cardstock, so if you've got something that's prone to cracking, it becomes a bit more important then. So then we're going to join this bit and this bit. So because we've done this glue tab here as a centimetre, I'm going to do it roughly about a centimetre on here. So I'm going to angle in like so. So there's our base bit. Then I'm going to come and actually angle this bit up to this point. Then I'm going to score that vertical. So try and make sure it's sitting up against the thing. There we go. And then we're going to also cut off this top edge so that you don't get like a little step in your side. Like so. Now, just to make this slightly easier, because we're not gluing as we're going along, I am going to join these two together so that we can actually work with them all attached. Like so. So I do need to make a little bit of an adjustment to my glue tabs, so I'm just going to mark those and snip. Okay, then I'm going to take my glue tab and put it inside. Oh, Jill, you can always catch up, so I will let you know the details for catching up if you want to. So I've done it so that you can choose, if you want to, which courses you want to do. So you don't have to do all of them. Or you can decide you want to do a whole day, or you can do the whole entire weekend if you want to. So it's a 3-day weekend. Because it's a bank holiday here in the UK. I managed to pick up the wrong glue. Okay. Choice of two. There we go. So I'm just going to line those two up and then fold that glue tab back. And then just check that everything is seated where it should be. So you want to make sure it's as close to that folder as possible, while also making sure that you keep this top edge smooth. Okay. So there's the start of our end. And now we can go down the next side. Like so. Oh, with any luck we might just need just the 2 strips. And hi Tracy. Okay. have some exciting things coming up with the DT as well. It's okay. I pinched Ian's bone in the end. Next one. So now with that side done, I'm going to line that up, bend that round, do the same again. You're putting poor Tracy on the naughty step. No. We don't have a naughty step, do we, Tracy? Okay. So again, line that up to the top. If it helps, get your nails in there so that you can get it right up against that edge. I'm going to get a score. So then we're going to come back up for this part of our N. So you're all bored of my banter yet? So tomorrow I'm doing a floating car design. Is the plan. As long as the mood still takes me. Just gonna adjust that one flat there. You're going to do a live unboxing, are you, Joyce? So that's going to fold back on itself because that's going to come into there. And we're nearly there. Now this is where we hope that it goes along this edge and past a little bit so that we can use that little bit to use the glue tab for this side. But do we think that it's possibly going to work out anywhere near as neat as that? Well, it's not sure because that looks awfully close. But we'll see how we go. Yeah, I don't think we're close enough to you, are we, Thea? Unfortunately. As I know a man who can, but they're getting it here safely and getting it back to you. And now that lockdown's a little bit easier, hopefully I'll be sending some bits to get fixed. hopefully. More importantly, hopefully he can get the supplies, because it's been a bit of a nightmare trying to get spare parts. Oh, Joyce. You have to go careful saying things like that to me, else I get to put you on the DT. Nah, I still get really nervous before I go live every day. It makes no difference. Doesn't matter how many I do. So you can see we're going to be a little bit short. So what I'm going to do, instead of actually continuing this across, so if I move up a bit, rather than having this kind of gap in here, I'm going to trim it back so that I can just do that last little bit a little bit neater. And especially being the bottom of the letter, we can probably hide it a little bit. Oh, Deb's just had hers as well. I couldn't get over how much the postage was though. It's quite scary. What I will say is our local post office now likes us a lot. Okay, so I'm just going to trim that a little bit neater down that edge. Okay, so it's going to go down this inside edge here, and then we're going to stop to our glue tab. I don't know, because our postage has been having issues for years with even not charging enough or charging too much. It tends to ping pong. Okay, so I'm going to apply my glue tape. And you notice I'm using red liner tape for this one, just so it stays put. So that's quite an important point to make. The other thing is, if you are doing this at a larger scale, make sure that your glue tape goes along this edge and not kind of off at an angle like I've just done it. Okay. With this particular issue, it's not the first time I've heard of it happening. Sometimes it can be just because user error and just putting something through a bit too thick. Sometimes it's when it's being cleaned, they can pop. So you do have to go so careful with those little mini rollers on the CMs. Carrick had been on a couple of streams before, Carol, but yes. Right, let's get this round the right way, because this is the bit that I tend to get a bit wrong, so I want to go on this end. So I'm going to start from this end and cut my angle like so. $2.50, wow. And don't forget your glue. That's quite shocking that it's gone on $2.50. Should never have gone like that. So on that basis, I would agree with Tracy. Okay, so I'm going to join these two up. Get it as close to that corner as possible. So your glue does give you a little bit of wiggle room, while your tape will hold it there once you're happy, while your glue sets is the plan. If you want to put a little drop more glue in once it's set, you can do. So now we can go back to our N. We know that bit's going to be going in there. So we can give it a little notch. And we won't be using too much of this strip at all really. But it's just a case of just tidying that up, so you have a neater finish. So bear in mind you are going to want to do not only your little tab in here, but you're also going to want to do your glue tab for this way. So we're going to go and notch into that notch like so. Okay, then we can trim across that way. So then we can use our trimmer for that. And I did not want to do that, but hey ho. See, look, even the pros make the mistakes on occasion. How to fix it? If you go completely boo-boo, grab another strip. We're going to cut it so that you're going to come about 2 centimetres long. Roughly speaking, I'm just going to measure 2 centimetres on here, like so. I'm going to cut off my glue strip because I don't need that bit. Yeah, Natalie's going on a Okay, I'm going to take this right into this corner so that I can get my 1 centimetre guide. School. Again, I'm going to trim that way, and I'll be picking up these little triangles all day because they just ping everywhere. To be fair, I'm sure I saw on one of the other posts that they're out of warranty repairs are pretty good, so I wouldn't worry too much there. I'm sure your machine will be back and happy again soon. In the meantime, it gives you lots of time to play on canvas and plan your future projects. So I'm going to place my tape. Let's move up there a little bit so that I have a strip either side of my score line, like so. So you don't want to take it over the top of the score line, you're just literally going up to it. See, that I go wrong to show you how to fix it. It was intentional, honest. Yep, definitely play with a book. So I'm a little bit behind with the DT bits I was working on yesterday, so I had planned to go into the group today and actually spend a little time in there. So that'll probably happen a bit later today, so if there's something particular you want to ask, I should be about. So now I'm going to take my little glue tab, complete with glue, and I'm going to get mucky fingers. I'm going to fold it back on itself and I'm going to put it in so it's just inside that cut edge. So bring that up there. It's literally just inside. Bring it a bit closer. There we go. Okay. Then we can go up and over. No, I don't think he's done a box album for his box competition yet. Okay, so I'm going to join these up, try and get it as close as possible so then your mistake is not obvious. I'll give that to you. There we go. But you could certainly do this project for the competition. And if you want to create a lid for your box, what you would do is with your base shape, when you cut it out, also cut out one with a very slight offset. So on your machine it's about 1mm. You just need just a tiny amount of offset. The thicker your card is, the bigger that offset's going to need to be. So if you're doing it in something like the 480 from Ryman's, for example, you're going to want to probably go to more like a 2mm offset. If you want to put acetate in to your tray, you're also going to want to use a slightly smaller template. Now what I would do, rather than actually putting your acetate into your scan and cut and getting scan and cut to actually do your score line, I'd make yourself a template out of the same card that you've created your box in. Place that in the middle of your acetate, then get your craft knife and go around with the back of the blade so that you trace around your shape, and then that's going to give you a really crisp score line that will actually, it will sound like it's going to crack, but it will actually give you a nice crisp score line. So don't go too heavy, so you're not actually cutting the acetate, you're literally scratching it with the back of the blade. Okay. So now I want to check that I've got this round the right way. Okay. I'm going to go really slowly and I'm going to do this one tab at a time. So there's two ways that you could tackle this. You could put your glue onto your N, which is the slightly easier way of doing it, or you can put it onto your glue tabs. So I think I'm going to try and go through and do it a little bit on the N to start with, at least, so you can see what I mean. I wouldn't fill it with M&Ms, no. Ian probably would. I'm more likely to fill it with Skittles. But what I'm actually thinking is it would be really cool to do it a bit bigger and actually do it onto the wall, and then you could put some like of the rolled flowers off the machine, or download some from Design Bundles, has some off the top of my head. I think Creative Fabrica do too. Or just make some of your own. Yeah, the closest I generally get to an M&M is there's a M&M shop in London that we quite like visiting, which I find highly amusing because I don't actually like M&Ms that much. But it is a fab shop. And if you go downstairs, like there's loads of like really cool photo opportunities. So being a scrapbooker, it's quite cool to take the kids down there. And so I'm just lining up my 2 points. If it pings off, don't panic. It just means it wasn't quite in the right place anyway. And just take your time. Made a couple of boxes from Dreaming Tree. Would they be eligible for the box competition? Yes, that is fine. Okay, so once you're happy, I'm going to put in the next bit of tape. So you don't have to have lots of tape all the way around the box. The tape is there as like, you sort of think of it like your temporary adhesive, your pegs holding your box as it sets, that sort of thing. Speaking of which, I saw a really cool product that Craftalio marketing at the moment, and it's a similar idea to something I thought of when I was thinking about, you know, how could I make boxes a little bit easier. But as it's already out there, you don't have to create it. And it's like a set of right angle pegs, and they have different thicknesses. So if you're working with your grey board, there's a slot that will fit in, and it just literally slots over this corner here, and it would actually hold that as a right angle while it's setting. I'm terrible for losing the end of my tape. It's like, where's the end of my tape gone? There we go. So, next I'm going to go down this line here. Yeah, I thought it was really clever. It's like 3D printed, nice and simple. Slot it on, let it set. Now, as your box starts to get a bit more awkward, you're probably going to wish that you had longer fingers. Somebody like Ian won't struggle because he's got lovely long fingers. I have little tiny ones. Okay, so I'm going to take my backing off. So the other important thing to note is while you're doing this, make sure that you actually have your box the right way up. So if you're doing a letter in particular, it should read correctly. There'd be nothing worse than actually getting this far and then going, oh dear, I've made it the wrong way up. And likewise when you are working with your lid, then it'll be back to front. So at this point, because we've got this bit here, I'm going to do this next angle so that I don't get to the point of fixing this and then going, but I can't get that in there. So first of all, we need to do our bottom. Because this is fairly little, I'll just do a little bit of glue in there. Because then when we come to do our next side, we can pop some tape on. But yes, I saw those come up on my email the other day and I was like, yep, that's just what I need. Yes, Craftalio. Now, I haven't ordered from them since Brexit, so I don't know how they're working out in terms of tax and duty and all that jazz. But it's just one of those things, isn't it, now, that we just have to deal with. Okay. Now, see, we've stuck the lip. Just going to have to pull it up and over very gently. Don't yank at it. Now that we've got that through, I'm just going to stick a little bit of glue just in there, and then sometimes it's easier to go from that side and just do a little drop that way. Now that's just shifted a little bit, and let's just push that back in there. Get that to that corner. Then when you're happy, you can press it down. Hi Jennifer, welcome. No, this is just using one of the basic shapes on your machine. So the idea being that you can then take any of your basic shapes and turn them into a box. So for this next bit, you're going to see it's a little bit harder to get any of the tape in there. That's okay. We're just going to go in with a bit of the glue. And we can put a little bit of double-sided tape just on that top edge. She says. Yeah, there's about a 30-second delay between when you ask something and when I can answer. That's presuming that I see it straight away. And it's just the way that streaming works, so there's always going to be a little bit of time delay. Some days it's more than others if there's a lot of traffic, so if there's a lot of lives on at the same time, you'll find that Facebook kind of steps the delay up a little bit. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that in there. But Jennifer Tracy's part of our DT. So she does a very good job of modding our comments for us. And Deb, who's also in our DT, is also watching. Okay, so we're nearly there. There's a little bit just there that just needs to sort itself out. There we go. So we just need to stick this very last little bit. Do this up in the air, don't be tempted to put it back down on your desk, or else you'll find you'll have a lovely sticky desk. Just going to bend those in there. And you want to pay attention to that top corner, because we've done it with a little bit of glue rather than tape for this last section. You're going to find that it takes a little bit longer just to get things set where you need them. And that's why we use tape for the rest of it. Makes it quicker. Okay. Just try and push this where it needs to go. Yeah, Tracy was a little bit late. So, if you see everybody joking that she's on the naughty step, that's why. tray. Let's get that little glue tab to sit down there. And there is our tray. So just let that set for a minute. Right, okay, so the base file, in terms of the letter N, is just a shape on your machine. So you can do this technique for any shape on your machine. Then we cut these strips of card, like so, from what we had left. We then did a score line at 1 centimetre, so you'll always do your side pieces 1 centimetre higher than you need it. So then we can fold that back. That then becomes your base for your glue, and you notch at each corner basically, so that you have a little tray. So as I said earlier at the back at the start of the stream, while I created this project in white card, you could create it in any scrap card, because what you're then going to want to do is just put a nice cover over the top so that it's going to tidy everything up. If you want to put a little liner piece, so you could cut another N, offset it inwards, and then just pop that in as a liner, and you'll finish it off all neatly. So any questions before I go? The video will be available to watch back on the group for as long as Facebook keeps it on there. You can also catch up on YouTube. So there are, go on Tracy, how many videos now? It's got to be about, it's got to be over 700 now, I would think. So there's lots on there, going right back from basics of your machine, how to look after your machine, so how to clean it, how to calibrate it, what to do when things go wrong, and how to fix common errors as well is something that we're going to be looking at on Friday, because there's still a lot of questions about text welding. So going to be doing common errors and mistakes. Yeah, it's got to be something like that, Tracy, because when we lost all the videos off the main page, that was 584. Then there were the ones off the group and off my page. So scary how quickly they mount up. So there's our little tray, and we'll call that a day. So take care for now, and I'll be back tomorrow with a floating card design. So that's going to be looking at using coloured card you're going to need. You're going to need some text stamps, or a background stamp would be funky. You're going to need Versamark or a similar kind of watermark, or closely toned ink to your cards. Then we're going to need some glitter card, and finally a piece of white card that is going to form the back of your card. So hopefully that's given you a little shopping list. If you can't remember all of that, let me know and I will pop the list up into the group. So if you're new to the group, don't forget there's also the file section that you can have a look at, and don't forget to read the rules and announcements at the top of the page. Bye for now.